Welcome to the Thea Lee podcast. Today is January 26th, 2026, and we are on day 26 of reading through the Bible. Today we pick up with Job's response to his friend Bildad, and he reprimands him here at the beginning. He says, "How you have helped the powerless, and saved the weak, and enlightened my stupidity. What wise advice you have offered! Where have you gotten all of these wise sayings? Whose spirit speaks through you?" Then he starts to talk about the power of God, and he said God stretched the northern sky over empty space and hung the earth on nothing. He wrapped the rain in thick clouds, and somehow they don't burst with the weight. He created the horizon when he separated the waters, and he set the boundary between day and night. He made the heavens beautiful, and all of this is merely a whisper of his power. I vow by the living God, who has taken away my rights, by the Almighty, who has embittered my soul. As long as I live, while I have breath from God, my lips will speak no evil, and my tongue will speak no lies. I will never concede that you are right. I will defend my integrity until I die. I will maintain my innocence without wavering. My conscience is clear for as long as I live. So he is definitely standing on his innocence here. Then he goes on and talks about what his friends are saying about the enemy and the way that they think that God is. And he says, "This is what you say the wicked will get from the Almighty concerning their inheritance, that they may have children, but their children are going to die or starve to death. Evil people may have piles of money, and they may store away mounds of clothing, but the righteous will wear the clothing, and the innocent will get that money. The wicked will build houses as fragile as a spider's web. They will go to bed rich and wake up and all their wealth will be gone. They are blown away like the storms of the night." But then Job speaks of wisdom and understanding. And he talks about how people understand how to dig under the earth to get gold and silver. They know where to look for precious stones and treasure. But somehow they cannot find wisdom. They don't know where to find understanding. It's hidden from the eyes of all humanity. Even the birds of the sky cannot discover it. God alone understands the way to wisdom. He knows where it can be found, for he looks through the whole earth and he sees everything under the heavens. He decides how hard the winds should blow and how much rain should fall. He made the laws for the rain, and he laid out the path for the lightning. When he saw wisdom and evaluated it, he set it in place and examined it thoroughly. And this is what he says to all humanity: "The fear of the Lord is true wisdom. To forsake evil is real understanding." Then Job goes on speaking about his former blessings and how he longs for the years that are gone by, the way that God used to take care of him and he lit the way before him. He walked safely through darkness, and when he was in his prime, God's friendship was felt in his home. The Almighty was with him and his children were around him. His cows produced milk. He would sit in the city gate, and the young people would step aside when they saw him, and even the aged would rise in respect at his coming. The highest officials of the city would stand quietly, holding their tongues in respect. He talked about how people would praise him when he spoke. And he helped the poor in their need and the orphans who required help. He brought joy to the widows. "Everything I did was honest. Righteousness covered me like a robe, and I wore justice like a turban." He was eyes for the blind and feet for the lame. He was a father to the poor and assisted strangers who needed help. He broke the jaws of godless oppressors and plucked their victims from their teeth. He thought that he would die surrounded by family after a long good life. He thought that he was a tree with roots that reached to water. He talked about how everyone would listen to his advice. They would be silent and wait for him to speak. They would long for him to speak. When they were discouraged, he would smile at them. His look of approval was precious to them. He said he felt like a chief. He told them what to do. He lived like a king among his troops, and he comforted those who mourned. So this is interesting because Job obviously still says that he did not sin. He's maintaining his innocence, and he still remembers how powerful God is. Yet, of course, he longs for the times that were good, and he could feel God's presence, and people respected him, because he's had all of that stripped away now. But it doesn't change his mind. He still says that he's not going to speak evil, and he's not going to speak lies. And he obviously is still maintaining his reverence for the Lord. There's a few lines that I love. I love where it says, God's friendship was felt in his home. That's a goal. And then that everything he did was honest. Righteousness covered him like a robe, and he wore justice like a turban. The fear of the Lord is true wisdom, and to forsake evil is real understanding. Thanks for listening. We'll talk again tomorrow.